So now that we got all our pieces unwrapped, which was really fun, we're just gonna take a little bit of acetone and we're just gonna wipe all the grease off of these things because it's greasy. So one thing I learned the hard way is acetone definitely eats through these rubber gloves I was wearing. So I'm sure there's got to be some kind of better option out there, but I didn't find it. These big long pieces I had barcode stickers on them that I had to take off. So I just used a little bit of Goo Gone. I let that soak in and it didn't work super great. I don't know if I was doing something wrong. So I just kind of shaved the tags off with my knife and then wiped the excess off and it was good enough. So then it was time to start assembling my pieces. Now some of these I was going to build beforehand and some of these I had to build in place. I needed 3 sets of legs for my design, but I only built 2 at first and then I had to build the 3rd one into place. You'll see what I mean after. My plan was to connect all 3 sets of legs together, so I made sure I had these T-pieces right in the middle so I could use the longer pieces of pipe to connect everything. Then I just used pieces that are called floor flanges and I put those on the tops and bottoms of everything. So that way I could screw them into the bottom of the bench and then I could put them on the bottom to keep everything nice and level. So this is one set of completed legs and I'm just going to build one other one and then build the 3rd one in place. So this is where the long pieces of pipe come into play. I'm just screwing this first one into my first set of legs, and then I'm going to build the middle set directly onto this piece. I was looking for a T-piece that just had 4, but I could only find one that had 5 connection points to it, so I just used that one. Then I just started building the middle set of legs in place. Now, my local big box store didn't have enough black iron pieces in stock, so I ended up having to use some silver galvanized as well. Normally, you wouldn't ever put those together if you were actually putting gas through here, but it's just to hold everything together, so it'll be fine. So now that I had the middle set built, I could compare it to the end set and screw on my flanges and just make sure everything was going to be nice and level. Then I could screw on my last set of legs. So first I put on the other 3-foot piece of pipe I had, and then I let that hang over my bench, and then I could just twist my legs right on. Normally it's a good idea to glue your wood together first if that's what you're doing, but in my case I wasn't entirely sure exactly how long this was going to end up being, so I waited until I had the frame together, then measured it out, and then I started cutting out the pieces for my wooden bench. I couldn't find any laminated wood that was as wide as I wanted it to be, and I didn't want to use plywood. So I just cut down 2 planks and laminated them together myself. Now, I only have 3 clamps, and that's all I used, and it worked out okay, but the more clamps you have for something like this, definitely the better. Now as you can see, when I start tightening this clamp, it starts making my wood bow a little bit. So all I did in that case was I clamped it together and then I put a bunch of weight on top of it to keep it nice and flat, and then I could go ahead and tighten my clamps just a little bit more. Then I let the glue dry overnight, and in the morning it looked pretty good. Once I took all my clamps off, I could take the frame of the bench and just slap it right on top and see how much I had to cut down. So I found I had a little more overhang than I would have liked, so I just measured in where I wanted it and marked it out and cut it down on the table saw.
18.5-ish.
So I was a little worried since I only had 3 clamps and I knew this bench was going to sit over top of a heater, so the wood was going to expand and contract a lot. So what I did was I just took a couple 2x2 pieces, cut them down, and glued and screwed them to the underside of the bench just to make sure that if for some reason the glue did give away from the heat, then that way the bench would still stay together in one piece. I just cut the ends on a 45-degree angle so that way when you looked at the bench head on, you wouldn't see just big ugly blocks hanging out, and it hides them a little bit better. Now, if you guys have watched any of my other builds, you know that I like to pre-drill some holes using my Craig pocket hole drill bit. This just lets you hide the screws a little bit better, and if you want to fill them with some 3/8 dowel, then that's even better. After I had those glued and screwed into place, then I just sanded it down. Nothing very exciting. After I sanded it down and had it as smooth as I want, then I just took my shop vac and vacuumed up all the little bits of sawdust. Then I coated it in wood conditioner because I usually use a certain kind of stain, but this time I decided to try a combination stain in polyurethane. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I liked it very much. Now, maybe I made a mistake by putting the wood conditioner on first, but that's what you use with all the other Varathane products I've used before. But I'm not entirely sure it was the right call for this. Maybe somebody in the comments can let me know, but I found that it just really took a lot more stain to coat the whole project than I kind of expected it to, and it didn't go on very smoothly at all, but the end product did look really good. Then while my stain was drying, I just went ahead and sprayed all the black iron with a little bit of polyurethane, just to give it a nice coat and make sure it doesn't rust. So now that everything was dry, I could go ahead and finally attach my frame to the bench top. I was kind of running out of stain and I didn't want to go get more, so I only did one coat on the bottom because nobody's ever going to see it. Once I got my first set of legs where I wanted it, I could go ahead and make sure that all the other sets were going to be nice and level and square. Then once all those were screwed on, I could take this baby to its new home. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Just a real simple bench made out of a little bit of wood and some black iron. I think it looks pretty slick. Doesn't have to be too fancy, just enough to keep people comfortable while they're waiting to get in for their tattoo. So if you like this, if you thought it was cool, make sure you like, share it with grandma, let her know. If you hit that subscribe button, that would be super helpful for me. And if you liked and commented, that'd be even better. But if not, that's okay too. I'll survive. I'll keep making videos. And I hope to see you on the next one on Wild Rose DIY.